Hello! Welcome to TOR Review, our very first one.
Movie review.
And we picked a dandy. We just got back from seeing fucking Logan.
Gasoline.
Motherfucking Logan.
That's what that movie reminds me of.
Canadian crippler. Fucking Wolverine.
Yeah. Wow, it's a movie filled with the sound of tearing knives through butter and trucks. Yeah. Basically, trucks and cutting is the entire movie. Vehicles in the movie. Oh yeah, I was getting hard.
Yeah, every 2 seconds you see a different Ford or a Dodge in there. And you're like nudging me. Like, hey, I got that truck. Yeah. But hey, man, I have to say, finally we have an R-rated fucking Wolverine movie.
Yep.
This is what everyone fucking needed. Yeah. This is what everyone wanted. This is what we got, and they did not disappoint.
Okay, if there's any blaring weaknesses in the previous movies that had Wolverine in it, this highlighted them. Because without being able to show the full level of graphicness, the full graphic level of his destructiveness with those claws. You never get that on a PG or anything like that. You didn't get the true
Wolverine in any of the previous movies. Even in the X-Men movies.
You know he's killing a bunch of people. You do know, but you don't quite understand that he's...
You don't see what he's capable of in
the
other movies.
In this one, you really see him just ripping through people, and it's great.
I have to say, it is the best version of Wolverine that we have ever seen in a movie. It's the most like the actual comics.
Compared to Deadpool,
he's struggling
it's more
with
violent.
Himself, and he's like, it's just the grittiness. He's getting his ass kicked in every scene. Like, he's struggling. You see him as an old man. Like, he's just, like...
It's awesome.
It's crazy, man.
It's awesome.
Crazy.
I loved it. If you don't leave that movie feeling slightly more manly, then you got a problem.
This guy's drinking, like, hard liquor every other scene. Like, whenever he's got a chance, he's just drunk. Yeah, he's just, like,
poor bastard.
The manliest character in the Marvel Universe you have right here, and they showed it in this movie.
It's like really, it has a really strong feel, like Last of Us.
Like tragic kind of.
Do you remember Last of Us?
Yes.
Where he's taking care of the girl.
Got that same tone.
He even looks just like him. Yeah. It's that same, like, Ellie. It's the same, Peril.
Yeah, really. Because, this isn't really a spoiler, but X-23, everyone knows she's in the movie. It's basically a Wolverine clone. Female version of Wolverine.
Basically. And
it's like a daughter-father relationship that they have in the movie. And it was fucking really well done.
They really did the acting. Yeah, excellent.
She was a great actor. She pulled her weight in the movie.
Now, though it wasn't the strongest role for every character involved in the movie, the main characters, like Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman, and whoever that little girl is, I don't know. A few of the other characters, like most of the villains, were pretty lackluster on the intensity of the acting. Yeah. But the main characters, like the heroes,
Wolverine, Professor X,
the beaten up X-Men. It's like a discount version of X-Men.
Not really. Those are the two I would rather have. Like out of all of them. I mean, Professor X. You see it in the movie, like. He's kind of like all medicated and shit. Like we'll get into that later. Why he's like it's not the same Professor X that you're used to. No. It's a different type of Professor X, right? Yeah,
the acting is superb though.
Oh my god, Patrick
probably
Stewart
the best I've ever seen.
It was awesome. You're hearing him swear. It's like he's just like he's lost his mind. It's crazy, man. But it's awesome. And X-23 was like the chemistry is great with her.
It
and
does
Logan,
not feel strange at all.
No, it doesn't.
This switch to R-rated does not feel strange.
It feels how could it? It's a Wolverine movie.
I know,
a Wolverine movie is only supposed to be done as an R-rated film.
Could you have done the previous X-Men movies as an R-rated movie though?
No, I don't think so.
Me neither.
And that's where the appeal was missing because you have a character like Wolverine and you're not seeing his full potential in those movies.
And I think
I'm a huge X-Men fan, and the old X-Men movies did nothing for me. Like they were kind of.
I didn't mind them.
I mean, at first I was excited, like, hey, X-Men, they're making a movie finally. But when I saw it, I was like.
But the previous two Wolverine movies, they were not as violent as this one.
Not even close.
Before seeing them, I thought they were going to be. And each time that I went and saw it, I failed. Right.
I remember I saw Origins with you, and we were both like, "What the fuck just happened? Like, what? That was Deadpool." But anyways, enough about that. We're talking about Logan because like this movie redeems all of that.
Basically.
And as Hugh Jackman's last hurrah as Wolverine, we don't know for sure though. He said that he wants to retire the character, like he's done with it. But I mean, you throw him the right amount of money, he might come back.
He's the only one who can really play that character.
You think so?
I think if they bring anyone else
It's because now he's at the perfect
especially
age, though,
at
too,
this
right?
point.
He's at the perfect age where he looks like Wolverine.
At
he's
this,
like old and weathered.
He's kind of looked like him for the last little while. The thing is,
yeah.
well, that's what Wolverine looks like.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like now. Yeah. Hugh Jackman made a version of Wolverine, and that's the live action version of Wolverine.
Right.
There's clearly no parallels between the regular, and his hair's different too. Did you notice that?
It's more of a normal
regular haircut.
It's not that
deal,
pointed hairstyle that he has
that they did in the previous movies.
I think they were trying too hard with that. Like the way he looks in this movie was like perfect.
They did a good job.
Also what you were saying too with the villains, there weren't really any. Like I didn't take them really too seriously. Like there was no threat.
No,
I saw in a lot of these guys.
No, well there was because of reasons that we're not going to disclose at the second.
But that's a spoiler. There is a boss fight that's like fucking ridiculous.
It's a little over the top.
It's crazy.
But you know what? It's not over the top. Compared to the last two movies were way over the top. The boss fights.
Yeah.
The latest one was more like. We'll get to a point where we're spoiling it.
Anyways, yeah, like you said. And there were a lot of characters, like I know, what was the guy with the
guy who can track people?
Yeah, the tracker.
I forget his name. Some weird name.
Hannibal or something? I don't know what the... I've never heard of him before in the Marvel... No, I know, but it's along those lines.
Give me your powers, Clarice.
Yeah.
No,
But anyways, what was his name? Oh, shit.
You're not going to remember.
Yeah. But anyways, like, he was kind of like a... He was just there, like he wasn't like a...
I liked him.
He was cool, but like you didn't get much screen time and like...
No, he wasn't like a Quicksilver thing.
Yeah,
like,
he was like you kind of didn't care what happened to him. You didn't feel for him.
I kind of did.
Did you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fucking helping them out.
He was, but
that guy looked like he hadn't slept in months.
That was just his mutant power. Like he's afraid of light or something. Like I've never.
He's like a vampire.
Yeah,
it's
pretty
really
much.
Weird.
That's what I got from him, right?
I haven't seen him in too many other things.
No.
What do you think? What do you give the movie out of 10?
Out of 10? Oh man, solid. I would say this for Hugh Jackman, Oscar worthy. Like this is an amazing performance for him. So just with the acting alone, 8. 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10
solid 8
for
out
the
of 10.
movie.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a 9.
Oh,
yeah.
Better. Wow. So yeah, there you have it, man. Like, honestly, and we're not. We might be a little generous with our review, but like.
You're definitely more fanboy than I am about it, and I gave it a 9. And I'm a dick to movies.
But a 9 is like super high. You're talking
super high.
There's like greatest of all time. It's greatest of all time.
Okay, in the last like 10 movies I've seen, I think that's probably the top of the heap.
This is one of the best superhero movies I've seen.
It's not to me. It doesn't really feel like a superhero movie either, though.
Yeah, and there's a lot of there's a lot of like fourth wall breaking too that you notice in the movie too.
Like what?
We'll get into it later, but but it's not done like Deadpool style where it's comedy. Mm-hmm. It's more like that's kind of neat how they pulled that all together kind of thing. We'll talk about that.
There's quite a bit of product placement.
Yeah, a lot of it. Like
Dodge and Ford,
Dodge.
big time, big time.
It's like the writers just thought to themselves, like, what's the manliest fucking vehicles that Wolverine would be having?
Let's give him a limo. Let's make him drive a limo. Wait, let's make him drive a Cadillac limo.
A Cadillac for a while.
They destroyed a lot of vehicles too. Obviously,
the scenes were so gory. Just the way
and the fight scenes,
the violence, the cinematography.
The reason why it's so good is because when you take away the brutality of it, you have to do a lot of cutaways during the action, right? Which kind of takes you out of it because if you ever watch it,
really,
yes, it does. It does, especially for me.
Not for this movie. Though.
Not for this movie. No, but for the previous ones,
right? Because
they would be cutting back and forth to different movements, so you lose a lot of movement. You lose a lot of. It takes you out of the immersion because you're constantly trying to what the fuck's he doing? He's slicing, now he's moving, now he's jumping. What the fuck? When they show the scene, they don't cut away, and you see like Logan and fucking X-23 jumping over each other, and this camera doesn't cut away, and they're just killing people. Yeah. It's excellent. You see everything that's happening.
Well done.
Yeah.
The only movie I compare it to that choreography with like the fighting scenes is probably like Winter Soldier. It's like that level.
See, I haven't seen Winter Soldier.
See, you have. Oh man,
it's the only movie in the Marvel universe I haven't seen.
That is probably before this movie. It was the greatest choreography that I've seen in a superhero movie for action scenes.
For movies,
because it felt raw, like just combat wise. Like, but this is like. it's like Captain America, so he doesn't have those over the top powers, right? It's a fighting movie.
He's also not cutting people's bodies apart.
It's like Wolverine. This is a fighting, gritty movie. It's the same deal. So like it's done the same style, like where the camera's like zooming in, shaking, like you feel like you're in the fight with him in this movie. Like it's crazy. And there's a lot of moments like I'm watching it and you're on the edge of your seat, like holy shit, like it's like
let's switch to spoiler mode.
You want to switch to spoiler mode?
Yeah.
Before we go there though, I want to say like okay. For as much action as there was in this movie, during the slow parts,
amazing.
It was not like you were left like, oh my god, when shit happening. It's like they did such a good job with character development.
You almost wanted to keep the slow
like there was a lot of dialogue that like there was going back and forth, and it was interesting. Like you find more about Logan, you find out more about X-23, more about Professor X, the shit that's going on. Like it was a long movie, but never did it lose my attention. I was hooked 100% throughout like the entire movie.
Yeah.
There was not a moment where I thought to myself, I'm like, fuck, like it's and the previous Wolverine movies, like it's all about that. Like it's just not even on that close to that level, right?
The previous Wolverine movies and the
like
X
the one where
movies,
he's in Japan is like with
they relied on the action.
Lady Deathstrike. It was just pure action, and then the times where when they didn't have action, it was like, oh god, like.
They relied on it. They relied on people. They relied on the action scenes.
It was boring. It was a boring movie. Yeah, but
they weren't necessarily boring. Yeah. I like the first one quite a bit too. Still.
Well, we don't need to compare to that. But yeah, you want to go into spoilers? Then?
Yeah, we're gonna do spoilers.
Right. Spoilers. Now,
turn the fuck off if you don't want to.
Stop the video if you don't want to know spoilers, because we're doing spoilers right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. First spoiler.
Yeah.
I can't believe he dies.
I went in like
knowing.
Yeah, no, I knew because I didn't know, but I went in thinking like this is probably the best way they're gonna do it because they're gonna retire Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. So they have to kill the character.
So if he ever came back to play that character, he would have to play in a younger version of himself.
But it's not even like okay, but in comics like. Superheroes die and come back all the time.
I know, but
Wolverine is one of those heroes where like you fucking take a little bit of his DNA, he could be regenerated from it. It's like it's not like a true death.
Well, but it stops though because he stops regenerating.
I know. That was kind of weird. I didn't know how that happened though.
They said he was saying it was the adamantium in his body that was slowly killing him
over and fucking
poisoning him.
Yeah. But I never heard of that before in the comics either. Like the adamantium was never an issue. Yeah. They kind of made it an issue in this movie, right?
To kind of drive the narrative,
Yes, to make sense of why he was like decrepit and like old and just weathered and shit.
So
another one was Professor X, man.
He's got Alzheimer's, or no, he's got brain degeneration, disease
disorder or something, and that's fucked. It's like the most powerful brain on the planet, and this guy is losing his mind. He's basically they mention this a bunch of times in the movie. He's basically a walking weapon of mass destruction that can go on off at any second. He goes through these seizures. It's fucking crazy.
Also, man. They put an end to him as well in this movie.
Yeah, and that scene alone. Fucking when sad. I thought to myself, sad. You remember when I said it's Oscar worthy for Hugh Jackman? That one scene where he's burying Professor X in the end.
Jesus Christ. My God.
Because he can't show emotion. He's trying really hard to hold back on his emotion. I felt his fucking pain. Like it was like this guy was trying so hard to just be a man and like bury him. He wanted to cry so bad. And X-23's watching this,
which is his daughter.
Guy. Yes, it is his daughter.
And he kind of doesn't use. So what's excellent about this movie? Not really
his daughter though. It's kind of like a clone. It's always been a clone. In the movie, they mention like it's his daughter.
But so basically what they do, and they do an excellent job at that because they don't have enough time to build that relationship like they do in a show where you could see how characters slowly become fond of each other. In this movie, they did it in like an hour and 20 minutes. The movie's longer than that, but the hour and 20 minutes they blend the two characters excellent. Mm-hmm. They really build the relationship between the two of them, and you notice by the end of it, you can like the actors.
It becomes a father-daughter relationship.
Very, very, very well done. Yeah,
you can tell. I mean, as much as he doesn't want to show it, he does care for this girl.
Yeah,
and then she also, as feral as she is, she's like a wild animal. Like when you see her fighting and shit, like she's vicious as
she's fuck. She's worse than he is.
She's probably can fight better than Wolverine at this point because he's like dying, right? Like he's and. But the thing is, like, you see her, she's this feral wild animal, but then she also has that emotional, like, I need a father kind of. like thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you see it like she wants him to be the role model in his life and like his father, and he doesn't know how to do that, right? Because he's never been through that. He's never cared. Like
you know his last words, right?
Who?
So this is
Wolverine.
Yeah. So
yeah, he said something.
This
about,
is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Now is he referring? Now this is my question.
Right.
Is he referring to death, or is he referring to caring about?
It might be both.
Like
it might be both. See, I thought about that too. Actually,
okay.
Yeah, because he. I mean, he's been through hell, man. Like, this guy survived.
But then again,
for 200
he's
years
also
or some
been
shit
hell for a lot of people.
Okay, the movie takes place in the distant future, kind of.
I think it's 2050. I believe it's
2050,
or is it 2030?
It might be less than that because Professor X was old when he met Wolverine, right? So
yeah,
he wouldn't be that. I mean,
Wolverine's like 200 years at this point, though. He's
maybe
old.
Past 200. He's like you're dating back. His first appearance was what, Civil War or something? Right? Not the comics, but like the American Civil War. Like was when you first had an account of Logan. I thought he was
born in the
1800s sometime, like 1850.
I think it's 1817.
Yeah, but he's over 200 at this point. I think.
Yeah.
Got to be at least over 200.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, the future looks. Like they have the futuristic cars and everything.
It's just it's just slight upgrades.
It's a slight upgrade. It's a realistic future.
Yeah,
they didn't go over the top like fucking guys with hoverboards and shit like that, like they do in most movies, right?
Yeah.
This was actually really well done, right?
Yeah.
And but again, too, what did you think about the villain? Like the
Doctor or the Wolverine clone?
Oh yeah,
or the guy with the
no, the Wolverine clone was fantastic. See, was
that a stunt double? Did they just use a stunt double? That's what it looks like.
I think it was him. It was him, but they CGI'd him slightly. I think.
Looked way younger.
Yeah, he did look a lot younger, and he was more buff. Like he looked like Wolverine in his prime.
He looked like a young Hugh Jackman.
But the other guy with the mechanical arm, big boss there.
Oh, it's that guy. I don't even know who he is.
I don't know who he is either. I didn't even catch his name.
But
he was kind of a lame villain. Like I didn't think he was any threat at all. Right? Like he.
Okay, this is another question I have. Do they know that he can't heal as well? Because that guy, he was like he was fully like confidence. Yeah, he was like, I'll fuck you up. Like he did not give a shit. He's like, he treated Wolverine like a bitch at some point.
That was weird.
And I'm like, yo, people don't treat Wolverine like that.
And that's what that's where
he's scared of her, but he's not scared of him.
That's where I kind of lost appeal. It was like, that doesn't make any sense because Wolverine's the most dangerous guy on the planet.
He would have to know that he can't
heal. At this
heal.
point, he's one of the only surviving mutants.
But at this point, there's no way he can know that.
Yeah.
The only one who knows is that other dude.
But he knows of the legend, though. Because he mentioned, remember the scene where he's in the limo and he's talking,
but he knows
like, I've heard a lot about you. And he's like, by the way, I'm a big fan, right?
Yeah, but he knows he can't die.
I know.
He knows that
that's the weird thing.
He knows that
he's stupid.
He knows that he's literally killed everyone he's ever fought up to this point. He's
probably just stupid. There's a reason he doesn't have an arm anymore, right? He probably fought someone.
There's a bunch of guys with no arms. Like, what the fuck's going on?
You know why? Because these people are hunting down mutants and they're getting fucked up. They just need replacing for arms.
Oh my god! I know, you see it so much. They're like arms get frozen, lit on fire.
I think that's what it is, though. It's because
they're just getting fucked up.
They're mutant hunters, so they just get fucked up, right? Like they're going to get fucked up, right?
Oh, this movie, they show people getting their heads completely torn.
Oh, it's crazy.
To nothing. Just piles of blood.
Yeah. One of the best parts was also, remember, we mentioned the boss fight. It's a clone of Wolverine. So it's another Hugh Jackman.
It's just two Edward Scissorhands going fucking gangster.
Wolverines. And the fucked up thing, it's like, okay, we mentioned that Wolverine dies. The Wolverine clone ends up being the one to kill Wolverine.
In a way, yeah.
And it's kind of cool because it's like Wolverine is the only person that can kill Wolverine, right?
Then Wolverine's daughter kills Wolverine.
That one with the adamantium bullet. And when they introduce
some
that
weird
bullet,
petricide shit going on.
When they introduce that adamantium bullet, that Wolverine,
you kind of know.
He carries around because he wanted to off himself after all.
As soon as you find out that he's got an adamantium bullet, and you think, oh god, he wants to shoot himself. Yeah. But then you see the introduction. As soon as I saw this villain,
right.
The other Wolverine, I knew how he was going to die. There's only one way, because I'm thinking in my head, he's not going to shove his claws through his head. That's not going to work.
Yeah, because he's like Wolverine. He's immortal. He's like, you can't kill this guy, so like, you have an adamantium bullet there. That's the fucking...
You know what I don't understand?
Yeah.
Wouldn't his brain and bones just fucking heal back
around it? That's what I thought too, right? But they have to, I guess...
Are they following the comic book? Because he's had all his skin melted off and come back.
Yeah. Because if there's any trace of him left, he would regenerate slowly, but he would come back. He would come alive, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, an adamantium bullet wouldn't do shit. Like, okay, yeah, it would fuck him up, but basically he'd heal around it and push the bullet out, right? Like,
well, it took off a chunk of his head.
That too. But,
but that's the thing. Wouldn't it just come back as like bone, even if you did get rid of the adamantium?
I guess because at that point maybe adamantium was like an aging element and it was like poison, like what it was doing to him, kind of thing.
I know, but that clone is brand new. He's still got like 100 years.
The thing. Like,
actually, not even since he got the adamantium in him in like the 90s. So realistically, he only lived for like 50 years after the adamantium.
So it was the adamantium that killed him.
How do you say it? Adamantium?
Adamantium, yeah.
Is that how you say it? Yeah. So I've been saying it wrong this whole time?
What were you saying?
Adamantium.
Adamantium? It's like aluminum. Kind of.
Yeah.
Adamantium.
With a D?
Yeah.
Gay.
Adamantium. Is it gay?
Fuck you, Grandma, please.
But yeah, you're right. And like his adamantium skeleton was only introduced like later on in his life, right? Near the end of the road. Before that, like he would do everything in his. I mean, he would fight with bone claws and shit. Like that's fucked up, right? But another thing too, Professor Xavier. Wow. That's the thing where
thing that ever happened.
He had no idea what happened to the X-Men, why they died.
Yeah.
Up until that point, Wolverine was hiding it, or Logan was hiding it.
He remembered near the end, though.
He was hiding it from him, and Professor X would constantly keep asking Logan, "Is like, what happened to the X-Men? Right? What happened?" Is like, but Logan didn't have the heart to tell him, right, that he fucking killed them. His brain was so deteriorated at that point where he couldn't control his power, and that was sad. That was
basically. The man who saved all the mutants is the one who ended up killing them all. Not all of them, but he killed his group. Because it sounds like
he said
like that corporation had a alkaline. It sounds like they had a huge role to play in the extermination of mutants as well, though. Yeah. Basically, and then that other young doctor. Well, he's not young. He's kind of old. That's the son of Stryker.
The guy that was headed the Weapon X program.
Yeah, right? That's Stryker's kid.
Yeah.
Wolverine did him.
He fucking kills him. Who is it that killed him? X-23 was it, or
I forget.
He's in the middle of some speech. Do you remember that part where he's like talking and he's like, basically.
Oh, he's shooting Wolverine.
We don't.
He's the gun for the first time ever.
Wolverine shot him. Wolverine shot him with a gun.
It was like
basically we didn't want to kill him mutants. We wanted to use them, and then boom, he just shot him.
He shoots two of them quick times. Yeah. He spends a lot of that movie just limping around and rolling around because he's fucked up.
I loved it.
It's the first time, because usually when you in any of the X-Men movies, he can get shot with a minigun and he'll just get back up and be like, "What, bitch?" This is
the most human you ever see. Wolverine.
He is fucking beat up almost through the entire movie.
I loved it. The part where the clone ends up killing Professor X. He basically comes up to the bed while Professor Xavier is sleeping.
And he's telling a story.
He's telling a story of how this is like the best night he's ever had in a long time, right? And he doesn't deserve it because he knows at that point he was the one that killed the X-Men, right? And killed all them, right? And Wolverine kept it from him. And and it was through those seizures, right? Yeah. Because Wolverine was the only one that can actually survive those things. You see this guy he's the only one that's moving while he's doing the seizures. He was, Wolverine he
fights with.
Yeah, he's fighting during it and everything too. Yeah, even X-23, she can handle it too because I think it's the regeneration thing, right? Everyone else is standing still, and the X-Men didn't have a chance, right?
It seems to be an issue with
oxygen.
At
that point, it was actually sad when you see the clone Wolverine kills Professor Xavier, and Xavier, as one of his last images was Wolverine driving the claws, and he thought it was him.
No, but then
he thought it was he thought it was really actually Logan off in him, and it's that shock in his face, why he's
but you see, the first thing Logan does is it's not.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me, right?
He went after Xavier over
the girl.
Yeah,
because that was he was his father.
You see him for a second, he's torn. He's like
know, right?
Shit, what shit, and then he goes upstairs.
And that's something he would totally do. Logan, that was the decision he would have made. He at that point, he did care for the girl, but he was struggling with actually feeling something for this.
He really did not want to let go of Xavier.
Right.
The last
Xavier's the one who taught him to harness,
and pretty much the last living soul from the earlier states of his life.
Because he mentions this a lot in the movie too. Logan is every person I've ever cared about dies when they're around me.
He's really depressed about that. He mentions it a lot. If somebody was mentioning that much to me, I'd be like, dude.
And I think Xavier was the last straw.
Even though Xavier was pretty much on his way out too, though.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
So that was the last thing he was kind of holding on to, and I think Xavier's death really helped him move forward with the rest of his journey, to the end. He wanted to die.
Oh, of course.
He wanted to die. And I think when he saw that girl, though, I think it really made him kind of cherish his mortality a little more.
I think he knew he was on his way out, and he said, like, he was telling himself, okay, this is going to be my last act. I'm going to help this girl because this is the future, right? Like,
he didn't even want to in the beginning.
No, he didn't want to. He didn't care. He was just in it for money and everything, right? Like typical, like, Logan, right? But, I mean...
He's never really been... You know what's funny?
He's never actually been after money. They kind of changed... That was kind of weird, right?
The entirety of the X-Men... Well, he needed it for this, but the entirety of the X-Men movie, plus the Wolverine movies, are all about... Wolverine's the main character in every X-Men movie ever made. Mm-hmm. The first 3 X-Men movies, Wolverine's the main character. And then you got the First Class movies, where in the first one, he's not the main character, but in the other ones, he is. And then you got the 3 Wolverine movies.
He's not an original X-Men though, so it makes sense.
He's got 9 movies of except for the very first X-Men First Class. He's only in that for a second, but the rest of them he's a major part of them. So Wolverine's done like fucking 8 movies. You could say as Wolverine. In all these movies, he's supposed to be this insensitive guy. All the movies revolve around him dealing with him being emotional. That's what the movies are about. Wolverine being emotional.
Because people can relate better to somebody like that, right?
They can.
I mean, like if you ever read the comics, like Wolverine is kind of a dick, right? Like he's
supposed to be.
Yeah, but because he's hardened, right? He's not. He does care for certain people, like Jubilee. Like he's like treats her like a little sister. Right?
If you've killed as much people as Hitler, you probably.
That's the thing. Nobody has any idea what this guy has been through, right?
No.
He's seen shit that would make people fucking piss their pants on a daily basis and vomit. Yeah, it's like. Like it's a crazy life, and you get that in this movie. Like you feel he's just so weathered, and like he's limping around, and like he looks like so beaten down. He's just beaten. He's a beaten down shell of his former self, right?
He still gets the job done. He still gets the job.
It's crazy because like that one scene in this forest where he takes that adrenaline shot and you get that moment where he's just in his prime again.
Yeah, that was sick.
That was insane. I loved it. It was just basically a steroid shot. Like he's just like, and he's like,
I'm so glad that I'm so glad that we got to see that for a little bit.
The little glimpse. It was like the last hurrah that Wolverine
near the end of it. I was kind of thinking like either he might actually not die, and
I was thinking he was gonna die the whole time. I was waiting for that death scene. Like I knew, because at that point, the kid even said like, "Don't take the whole thing; it can kill you." Right? He didn't care at that point. He took the fucking whole thing. Right?
Well, it makes you crazy, not to kill you.
Yeah.
And then the little girl really didn't want him to die either.
Oh, of course.
She was like...
That was Professor X's dying wish, too. He said, keep Logan alive. Don't let him kill himself.
But he didn't kill himself.
He didn't kill himself, though. He did die, but I mean...
It was funny. Wait.
Yeah.
He did kill himself.
Well, he did, right? I mean... It took Wolverine to beat Wolverine. Yeah. Like, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy.
It took in prime perfect Wolverine to beat a dead,
it was a more obedient
version.
Wolverine, which is weird because originally in Weapon X, he was feral too when they created him. They couldn't control him.
Well, so was this.
It's weird that they were actually able to make another one that was fully.
Now remember, he wasn't fully controlled. He wasn't fully controlled. Remember, the guy even said like, "Yo, you're the only one who can talk to."
He was more in control than.
For sure. But he was bred like that. Right. Everything about him was meant to be controlled.
See, because if you look at the Weapon X version of Logan, like Wolverine, he has that headset that fucks his brain up. Yeah, he's basically like
the whole time.
Messing up his brain to like take orders and shit. This one didn't have any of that. It was just like a pure version of Wolverine that was just obedient, kind of like a dog, right? Like you'd see one of the villains saying like,
at this point, Weapon X is like 60, 70 years ago.
Yeah.
You gotta remember that. Weapon X is like years ago.
Years. This is like, yeah.
So the new version, I can see they probably have some improvements.
The technology improving and everything. And that made more sense.
So yeah, if everyone who's listening at this point has probably already seen it, and if you haven't, 100% go see it, especially if you're an X-Men fan.
And if you have seen it, fucking talk about it. Talk about it in the comments, man. Let us know what you want to think. We'll debate back and forth, man. Like
we'll go all day.
You'll
go more than I will, but
I am I'm a fanboy when it comes to Wolverine, and this movie fucking did him justice. Finally, we had a good Wolverine movie. That's all I have to say.
Very, very good acting.
Very, very, very good Wolverine movie, and the acting was phenomenal. Hugh Jackman at his best. I said, Oscar worthy.
Hugh Jackman at his best for sure.
Patrick Stewart, amazing as
that
well.
Might
like
have
right,
been one of his best
hand in
too.
hand. Like those two, amazing on-screen chemistry.
Yeah, you get two characters that are typically invincible, broken.
Yeah, they are pretty much. They were the strongest of the X-Men, I would say, right?
Oh, for sure.
Professor X is pretty much...
He was the strongest.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then you see Wolverine. His human side where he's broken down, like brain deterioration. Like even the strongest, like come to a point where they're just weak and a shell of their former self, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the tragic part of this movie, and that's what I loved about it. It was just so gritty and so
raw,
humanizing, right? Like... It was raw, right?
And you do really, in the beginning, you do really see him go through a lot of human struggles, which is great. You know, shitty job, stressed out, trying to get money, taking care of someone sick, which some of us...
Taking care of his father at that point, right? He's trying to make money to help with the medication just to keep him sedated. Yeah. Like, that version of Professor X was actually, it was a cool version. He's swearing and stuff, and like... You know, like he was sedated, but he was also kind of loopy because of the meds. I think the meds made him like... you know, a little fucked up. He was like crazy. He would say really weird stuff half the time, and like
yeah, it sucks. But
it was really well, like great acting on Patrick Stewart's part.
Oh yeah, he killed it.
Fucking killed it. He is, in my opinion, the one and only Professor Xavier. There's no other that.
What about the young guy who does the first class ones though?
He's okay.
He's good. What's his name? I forget his name.
I don't know. I forget his name.
He did that movie Split. Yeah. And like Shyamalan, go see that too. That's a good movie. Go see a young Xavier.
A review within a review.
Yeah.
Go see Split.
Reviewception.
Reviewception.
Okay, guys. I think we're at that point.
Final thoughts?
I gave it my 9. You gave it an 8, so it's 8.5.
A very solid 8.
It's going to be an 8.5.
8.5 out of 10, yeah. Logan, go see it, guys. This is a TOR review.
Yeah. It's a little jumbled. We'll get a little more organized with them. We were just too excited.
Just
so much gasoline, so much gasoline and action and claws and shit.
Yeah.
It's just
you'll love it.
It's very manly.
All right.
Take care. Do drugs.